Hello, my Shirley brethren. I am the Georgie Guadron, Senior Skilled Labor, DOT Driver, 2023 recipient of Above and Beyond Award, and future Diamond Club member on the Route 1 project and 29. Today, we'll be discussing serious topics for this month's December virtual Supervisor Safety Meeting. We'll be discussing slips, trips, and falls, dressing for the weather, housekeeping, and most importantly, 3 points of contact. Shirley brethren, welcome back. Today, you've been gifted and I've been gifted a chance to talk about slips, trips, and falls in the month of December, January, February, March, and perhaps April. As we know, Virginia is very bipolar, I should say, when it comes to the weather. So we must be prepared at all times for anything. The first thing I will be going over is footwear. Fellas and ladies, the thing is we need to really care for our feet, okay? We're not getting any younger. Some of us are too old, I dare say, for this job. But that doesn't mean you should stop caring about your feet. So, luckily, Shirley gives you a $50 discount on any boots that you buy. Just make sure you have the receipt on hand, okay? So when you're looking for boots, what are we looking for? The main thing, tread. Tread. There is no point of having nice boots if you have no tread. Now, obviously, you could say the most important thing is steel toe or, composite toe, but that's pretty common. So I'm not gonna insult your intelligence. I will be discussing is visibility and lighting. It's very gloomy in these months, okay? We need to very carefully make sure that we're wearing the right PPE. If your vest looks like it's been through World War II, please go to your office and ask for a new one. That goes for any PPE that we might have, including, but not limited to, leg gaiters and those pants. Now, we also must ensure proper lighting in all outdoor areas. As you guys know, daylight savings was not too long ago, so it gets dark very quickly. So if we need to, get light plants for your job site, okay? Please. The safety of your personnel matters the most. Shirley brethren, ice and snow removal, okay? It's very important that we make sure we have a plan, a removal plan, for all walkways, entrances, and parking lots, okay? We must think before we do as well, And when I say that, I mean, if we know that it's gonna snow the next day, or we believe it's gonna snow the next day, we must put salt everywhere that we are walking on, okay? The last thing we're gonna talk about, and please, just because it's last doesn't mean it's not important, is communication. I need you guys to make sure you're discussing your winter safety plan with your projects. And if you haven't, please contact your foreman about that. And if you don't have your foreman's number, please make sure you have that, especially when they don't know how your roads are in the winter, okay? If you're unable to get to work, make sure you either tell them the night before or tell them in the morning of that you're unable to commute to work. Okay? Shirley, in conclusion, by addressing winter-specific hazards and implementing these preventative measures, we can reduce the risks of slips, trips, and falls during the cold months. Prioritize safety and work together to create a secure working environment.
Hello, my name is Tony Rigolizzo, and I'm Assistant Superintendent with Shirley Underground. Today I'm going to be covering cold weather safety and some topics to help us prevent injury while we're working outside. And of course, in construction, being outside for long periods of time is part of the job, right? So during winter months, outdoor work can really be a challenge sometimes. Temperatures can get quite low. And these types of working conditions can lead to cold stress. So since you're working in these environments and they're naturally cooled environments, there's usually a lot more wind, which can take heat away from your body. So some of the I'm gonna present some things below to help you prevent from getting injured or hurt during the winter months. Listen to the weather forecast. You want to check the weather forecast before going out. This will allow you to accurately prepare for the day. You want to plan ahead, right? You want to develop a cold weather safety plan in advance to ensure safety concerns are being addressed in colder temperatures. For example, the morning stretch, stretch and flex that we do is a great time to actually warm your body up in the morning. And then you can actually address with your workers any needs that they might have for the day in the colder temperatures. And then, of course, you want to dress warm, right? You want to make sure you have the proper PPE for the warmer months. You want to dress in layers. Okay, you want to use long johns, or if you're not using long johns, they have the bibs, the overall bibs, which you can, they have them even at Walmart. You can get them at a good price at Walmart. So if you need those, and when it's cold, of course, you want to wear hat, mittens, or insulated gloves, like the ones we have here. These you can get through the company, and they're insulated gloves, and they're actually really comfortable, and they keep your hands warm, of course. And then you want to keep your face warm. So you want to, there's two different types that we have. These can actually go over the hard hats. These are for larger, and then for shorter. And then of course these will keep your face out of those cold environment. And then you want to wear waterproof footwear. So whether that's just your regular work boots that you have that are waterproof, or if it's steel-toed muck boots that you might have access to. And then when it's really cold, or when the wind chill is significant, you want to cover as much as that exposed skin as possible. And of course, these will be perfect for that. They'll keep majority of your face out of the cold. And then your body's extremities, such as the ears, nose, fingers, and toes, lose heat the fastest. Stay dry. Wet clothing chills the body rapidly. So you want to remove outer layers of clothing or open your coat if you start to sweat. Keep active when working outside in the elements. Walking or running will help warm you, generating body heat. You might even throw in another stretch and flex throughout the day just to help warm you up. And then be aware and seek shelter. So watch for signs of frostbite and hypothermia, as some people are more susceptible to the cold. The use of tobacco and certain medications will increase your susceptibility to cold. And if you suspect a coworker is experiencing issues with the cold weather, provide them an indoor area to rewarm their body, whether it's the work truck, you turn the heat on, or if you have a work trailer that they can get inside for a little bit and get out of the cold. Because two of the most threatening things to us while we're working outside is hypothermia and frostbite. And some of the things you should know between the two: hypothermia, is one of the things you want to watch for is that it drops the body's temperature, right? So you want to watch for shivering, confusion, loss of muscular control, difficulty walking, and if it progresses, it can become life-threatening, of course. So you want to make sure that you get medical attention immediately. Lay the person down. Avoid handling, rough handling, particularly if the person is unconscious. Get the person indoors. Gently remove wet clothing. Warm the person gradually and slowly using available sources of heat. And then frostbite, which is a more severe condition, where both the skin and the underlying tissue, fat, muscle, bone are frozen. Skin appears white and waxy and is hard to the touch. This, of course, you want to make sure frostbite can be serious. It can result in amputation, so you got to get medical attention, of course, right away. Do not rub or massage the area. Do not warm the area until you can ensure it can stay warm. Warm the area gradually, right? Use body heat or warm water, and avoid direct heat, which can burn the skin. And of course, any questions or any of these scenarios take place in the field, make sure that you're contacting your supervisor, superintendents, safety managers, anybody available to you. You want to get help right away. And that's what I have for this cold weather safety. Thank you.
My name is Walter Silva, and we are here at the project of Route 28 Winding, Centerville.
I'm Daniel Castle, an operator here on 28.
All right, today's safety topic for this month will be 3 points of contact. Now that it's winter, you gotta realize in the morning how frozen the trucks are, if it snows, if it rains, or the moisture in the morning. It's always good to keep your machines clean, the tracks, especially the big excavator, 330 or the 335, where they got the steps to get into it. But in a minute like this, it's always better to leave it in asphalt or in rocks or underneath, it doesn't get stuck because of the ice. Operators always should have 3 points of contact while getting to the equipment and getting out of the equipment. While cleaning it, the windows and everything around it, always try to figure out 3 points of contact no matter what. So then you're gonna give an example is 3 points of contact is you got 2 hands on the rails and 1 foot down. And as you step up, same thing, 2 hands on the rails and 1 foot up all the time. And when he gets in there, it's normal to have your cabin cleaned, your windows cleaned. If you're not able to see around it, make sure you got that clean and cleaners inside there and rags. It doesn't matter how much time you spend inside the machine, you have to always at least get out and stretch, especially when it's cold. I know inside the machines is nice and warm. You don't want to get out, but it's always better to come out and do at least a little bit of stretch and flex on your own time. Don't try to get used to it, because at the end of the day, you want to get out, you're going to feel a little bit stiff, and it's always better to do that. As getting out of the equipment, same thing. 3 points of contact at all time. All right? If you got ice or snow you got to deal with, make sure you know where you put your footsteps. Don't think you got it right. Maybe you're stiffing some ice or something, but always 3 points of contact in and out of the equipment. All right?
Good morning, guys. I'm Patrick Crocker. I've been with Shirley here for about 2 years now. And for this video, we're going to talk about some of the do's and don'ts with the equipment going into the winter months of the year and coming out of the winter months and into the spring. First, let's talk about keeping your cabs clean, free of trash. In the winter months, we tend to leave the trash in the cab, and that's susceptible to rodents running into the machines, chewing up all the trash, making little nests in your engine bays or your cabs. And that's definitely something we're trying to avoid, as it just creates more trash and possible, electrical problems with your wiring harnesses and any parts inside. On top of that, we also want to sweep our cabs out, keep the dirt out from underneath any type of track pedals in your excavators, your track loaders, in and around your seats, decelerator pedals in your dozers, and just everything in general. A nice, neat cab will prolong the life of the equipment. The more dirt inside of the cab, the more particles that those internal air filters are sucking in, and it's harmful to the AC systems and the air you breathe. It's another great reason to keep those cabs clean. So if you put a trash bag in your cab, don't just leave the trash bag there. Pull it out at the end of every day. Use another one. Let's try to keep the rodents out of the equipment. Along with keeping your tracks clean, we are in the winter months, and that means that your tracks and undercarriages, tires can freeze to the ground. Now, with the muddy conditions, that means we want to park up on dunnage, we want to park on asphalt, stone, recycled concrete, anything hard. Try to keep the water from contacting the tracks and the material from underneath it. And that especially plays into your rubber tracked machines and pieces of equipment. Those rubber tracks freeze a whole hell of a lot easier to the ground than the steel tracks do, and generally those smaller pieces of equipment also don't have as much power to turn those tracks to try to free them up. When we're going through our machines in the morning, we obviously got to check our fluids just like a standard pre-op, right? So on heavy equipment, we're checking our coolant levels, hydraulic oil, our oil levels, check your fuel levels, check your DEF levels before you start your shift. All those different things. For the drivers out there, you'll be including, transmission oil. Check your windshield wiper fluid, because you never know. So just do the same pre-op every day, but in the wintertime it's especially critical that we check these items. And be sure you're checking them in the proper position, right? Hydraulic oil for excavators, there's a specific way that you have to set that excavator to properly check the hydraulic oil. And it differs from brand to brand. So with a Caterpillar excavator, it sticks straight with your bucket flat on the ground, and that'll give you the proper level in your sight glass. After we've checked our fluids, in the wintertime, we're going to want to warm up our machine, warm up our oils. Any type of liquid that's running through that machine is designed to run through it warm. So for a lot of equipment, what I like to do is just give it kind of an exercise in place in the morning, move everything in and out, get the oil flowing. For some of the next-gen Cat excavators, our newer 325s, 336s, 325s, 315s, etc., on the monitor, it'll show an auto warm-up feature. If you click that button, it'll raise the machine's RPMs, and it'll purposely direct heat to those oil components and heat those up in place. That's great for if you're working in a tight spot and you don't have a lot of room to move the machine around, to stretch it out, bring it back in, so on and so forth. If you've got to move the machine to an area where you will be working, then you don't necessarily need to use the auto warm-up, as the oil will be heating up as you are moving to your work area. On top of that, it's important to note that the equipment, they're not heaters, so let's try to refrain from idling more than we have to. We understand it's cold, but every hour on the machine that you put on it reduces its life. The idea is to, if you're not using it, shut it off. And that kind of falls in line with Shirley's idling policy. When you're operating your machines, if you ever notice anything go wrong, if anything breaks, write it up on your pre-op sheets and your checklists. Be sure that you let somebody know, your foreman, superintendent, whoever's in charge of the job site, that machine needs to be worked on and is called into the yard. We are only as good as the people that call the yard to get things fixed. If we don't know about it, we can't fix it. So the faster things are called in, the faster we can get it fixed or get something swapped out in place of it to get it fixed. While we're on our jobs, obviously we get our fuel truck drivers that come around and they fuel up the equipment. So be sure that your area has ample access to get them in to fuel you up. And while they're there, it's a great time to go ahead and grease that machine as well. So if you've got an excavator, drop your bucket off, let them grease, your quick coupler, your linkages, your stick, bucket, swivel. Same with dozers, let them grease every part of your blade, all your tilt cylinders, angle cylinders, and lift cylinders. And that really goes for any machine as well. Don't forget your articulation joints on your motor graders, your front end loaders, rollers as well. Those are commonly missed, so be sure to put a little dab of grease in there as well. If you ever need fluids, paper towels, windshield wipers, all that stuff is on the fuel truck. So they should be able to hook you up with all that stuff if you need to. Then when we're climbing up and down our machines, we're going to use 3 points of contact, right? 2 arms and a foot, or 2 feet and an arm, or hand, whatever you want to call it. Every machine's a little bit different, but because it's wintertime, these surfaces are going to be a lot more slippery because of, dew, freezing over, mud on your tracks, on your stairs. So be sure you've got good solid footing. Be sure your catwalks and steps are free of mud and debris so you don't slip. Eliminate those hazards before you even get to them. All right, that's about all I got for this. Thanks for listening to me go on and talk all this stuff. Hope you have a great new year and see you on the site.